Okay, for the second video for 3.3, let's talk about perfect square trinomial. When we did those problems in numbers 1 and 2, we factored the left side, and we would get two binomials that were the same, and we could simplify it by writing it as that binomial being squared. And so that is a perfect square trinomial. It can be written as ax squared plus bx plus c, but if factored, it could then be written as just one binomial being squared. Okay, that makes it a perfect square trinomial. All right, and then we're just going to deal with that first, so we're not on to completing the square yet. So let's jump down, and let's make a perfect square trinomial. So here it gives us basically ax squared plus bx plus c, but we don't know what c is. And we need to find a c that would make it so we can write it as a binomial being squared. All right, and the way we do that is we take half of b. So you take b, you're going to divide it by 2, and you square it. Okay, that's how we find c. So my b is what's in front of x, so it's 14. So I have 14 over 2 squared. Okay, well, let's simplify inside that parentheses, and I get 7, and then squared, and I get that that's 49. So I want this 49 to go in place of c. So this is x squared plus 14x plus 49. All right, so the value for c that would make it a perfect square trinomial, so the first part of the answer is 49, but then it wants us to write the expression as a square of a binomial. So I need to write this as x plus, and it's always whatever half of b is. So it's doing this, but before we square it, it's always half of b squared to get the c, but to get it into the binomial, you just half the b. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 14 over 2, and all of that squared. So we have x plus 7 squared. Okay, so it wants both of those things. It wants what c would be, and it wants that binomial squared. Okay, in number 4, we can leave out a few of my steps. I wrote some extra stuff in number 3, but let us do this. So we want c to equal b divided by 2 squared. All right, so b divided by 2 is 20, and that being squared is going to give us 400. So there's c. And then remember I said the binomial being squared is the same thing as saying b over 2 squared. Okay, so we have x plus, well, we did that b over 2 right here, and we got 20, so I know it's 20 squared. And there's that binomial squared. All right, go on to your practice. Do numbers 11, 16, and 20. Make sure on the paper, if you printed it out off online, it should be right, but if you took one of the packets from the class, make sure number 20 is a minus 26s and not a plus. I think in the one I printed off, it had a plus sign. It has to be minus or the problem doesn't work. And Big Ideas has it as a minus. It was a typo. So do those and then move on to the next lesson video.